he's been a fool. Said he's sorry, I lift my keys, put on a smile so they don't see. Kids in the backseat singing to the radio.
All right. First episode, number 1. Well, Sugar Rose, I'll let you introduce yourself first, and then I'll go next.
Sounds good. Well, hey, everybody. Hello. I am so humbled to be a part of this incredible show that we've created together, Gunz and Rosez. Of course, if you don't know that, my name is Sugar Rose. That's why we kind of took the roses from there and the 2 drunk dudes in a gun room from there. So we kind of combined it together. And I am a motivational speaker for PTSD and mental health awareness. I was a family readiness leader for the National Guard for years. And so it's become my passion really to help people find themselves again and find hope and remember that they have a purpose and that you're never alone and that you're loved. And I'm also a singer and songwriter and performer.
All right. Well, I am Don with the 2 Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room podcast. And currently there is only one of us. So you'll have to drink enough till you see 2 of us. But no, our podcast started just strictly to bring and highlight veterans. So we've been finding organizations and people and there's a lot of podcasts out there that really dig into the PTSD, and we just kind of take the other side and try to highlight people and lift them up. And that's where Gunroom Radio started from. And that's where our podcasts go. So we're just about networking and helping people find their dreams and goals and helping them get there.
I love it. It's amazing. Together we're one. Together we make a difference,
I've always been a big believer, man. Teamwork makes the dream work. And that's,
yes, it does.
That is just the way I've always thought, even in my darkest hours, I've always been that guy that still thought I could accomplish things, even though things weren't going well and I didn't really understand why, but, I still tried to keep that, there's a greener grass on the other side. I just got to get there,
Absolutely. And sometimes you have to go through the dark grass to get to the green grass, in the middle of the dark grass is kind of where you find that the grass is starting to get greener and starting to get brighter. Sometimes it's in it and sometimes it's after it.
Yep.
But it's there.
And even our little trials and tribunes, tell them how your show and your day has started, how it's gone.
Oh, my day. Well, okay. So we all know I'm human. We all have our moments where shit just gets a little crazy and sometimes you just need to come home and have a glass of wine. That was today. So my day started off where, I was doing some of my TikToks and motivational videos and my ring light died. Like it just decided to be like, nope, not going to work anymore. No light for you, you're going to work in the dark and shine your own light, So I kind of got stuck with that. And then throughout the day, I don't even know if I developed pink eye or something, but I can't wear my contacts because my eyeballs hurt and they've been watering like all day long. So usually I wouldn't have my glasses on. And especially because it's so hot outside and sunny, I usually have to wear sunglasses. So I've been stuck wearing my glasses with like water running down my face all day. I don't know if it's allergies or, what it is going on. And on top of that, so I Uber in the evenings and, it's just something I've started doing and I enjoy it. It's actually a lot of fun. And hey, it's an easy way to just, make a couple extra bucks and, all that great stuff. So of course I get out of my car and I go into each restaurant and I get the order and then I take it to the customer, right?
Yep.
Some of them you go to the door and you speak to the customer. Some you leave at the door. Well, I'm over there. I had an order and I ran to go get gas because I needed gas. And I reached down and I felt like frills on my dress. And I thought, I don't remember having frills on my dress. I looked down. My whole ass dress is on inside out. Like the entire thing is on inside inside out. And I'm thinking, oh my God, people have been looking at me and my tag's hanging out of the back. And you could clearly tell on the sides that it's inside out. So I walk into the Chinese restaurant because like at that point I had to make a decision. So do I change in the car? Hopefully nobody will see me because this is not going to be just a 1-2, thing real quick. Or do I go to a restaurant again? And do I change it there? So I went back into the restaurant because I had another order to pick up in there. And I go into the Chinese room bathroom. And I felt like I had to make a TikTok about it because I was like, everyone needs to know that my snafus are just as real as your snafus.
Yep.
We all go through shit. We all go through moments in life where it just sucks and you don't want to be in that moment, but you're gonna muddle through it. Just kind of like some of the stuff you were telling me earlier. Sometimes we just have to muddle through things and get through it and know that it's not going to be that way forever. My dress is gonna get turned around. Things are gonna be okay. People can judge. They could laugh. We could laugh together because that's basically what it is at this point. So then I'm in the bathroom making this TikTok and I didn't realize that I echo. So everybody outside of the bathroom heard me talking to myself in the bathroom making a TikTok thinking, oh my God, this lady's crazy. So that was basically the brunt of my day. And then I come home and I've been excited, to do the podcast and get this started. And I realize I'm like, wow, I'm literally sitting, feng shui Chinese style on the floor right now because, well, I don't have a chair. And
you learned that from the Chinese restaurant.
I wanted to keep it going.
That's it.
Sometimes you just gotta laugh at shit. You just gotta laugh at the situation in the moment that you're in because, I could have gotten mad. I could have gotten pissed. I could have cried like a woman and got mad, all those things. But it was like, you know what? This is a moment that I'm going to chuckle about, like, years down the road. And I'm going to tell people and it's going to make someone else's day. So that is why I am having me a glass of wine. It's just been one of them days.
Well, let me share a positive story. And I've never shared this side of my life on any of my podcasts. So a lot of people probably don't even know about it. But I'm going to take us way back before I was even out of the military. My last deployment, I was sitting in Iraq, Ramadi. And I used to like to play poker. So I'd play a lot of Texas Hold'em. And a guy online found me playing in a tournament one day and invited me to start taking lessons from him. He was a professional player. So fast forward a little bit, I got to the point where I was getting sponsored to play in tournaments by casinos. And they would pay the entrance fee and I would play. If I won, I got half of it minus the entrance fee. If I lost, it was on them, And I met a guy who was in a dark place, drugs. He was trying to find money to gamble any way he could. He was really good at poker. He was really, really good. He didn't have his whole life in order. Mm-hmm. And I literally watched this guy go from that lifestyle to, over the years, he finally won. I don't know. He's probably won close to millions of dollars by now. He plays professional, but you wouldn't really know him unless you're really big in the circle. Mm-hmm. So he became a professional poker player. He became extremely religious. He got rid of the drugs. He started a brand called Think Bink. It's binking is a term in poker meaning you're going to win the tournament or you're going to win the hand or whatever. And it was just his way of spreading positivity. And he was making shirts and just passing them out. And one day I seen him, and this is where the story's going. I seen him on TikTok saying, I'm now door dashing. Well, trust me when I tell you, he didn't need the money.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is he doing? Why is he door dashing? Because I use DoorDash to keep my little gunroom radio afloat and everything that I'm doing. And so it puzzled me. And then I learned, what he was doing. Every order that he picked up, he had bought business cards with different religious verses on there. And he left his name and phone number if they ever wanted to pray or talk or anything. And every order he was stapling them to the bags, and they just had positive statements and a quick verse out of the Bible, and then he would hand it to the customer and say, "God bless," and leave. And it was literally just because that's what it was a way for him to spread his word and his message. Because I'm telling you, it wasn't because he needed the money. To be honest, he probably found something to donate that money to be honest, just knowing him.
That's incredible.
But I can tell you, I played against him when he was on the other side of that fence. And I seen some things that he did that I'm sure he's had to ask forgiveness for. And it's crazy just how, something internal can change overnight. Your thought process changes. And then you get halfway down this and you have to start asking yourself, what put me on this path? Why are things all of a sudden working out compared to what they used to be for me? I used to be like, as soon as something good happened, I ran because I was afraid the bad thing was coming, and I think it's just one of those things that at some point in your life, you don't know when it's going to happen, but something's going to click. And I feel like I've reached that point that I now know what my purpose is. And it's what I'm doing. It's podcasting. It's gun room radio and helping veterans and just being part of the community and talking and just enjoying life for the first time in many years. So, but just talking about DoorDash made me think of him,
And that's beautiful, and that's a beautiful moment, a beautiful testimony, and a beautiful story that you came into somebody's life at a time when somebody needed you there for something. And you may not have known exactly what it was at that time, but God put you there for a reason, and you got to watch that man grow and that man bloom and blossom into who he is today. And now he's somebody else's somebody. He is going and he's helping many people. And he's saying, hey, at one point in time, I was given a leg up. I was given a hand. I had light shone into my soul that now I'm going to return it to another, and that's one thing. Like when I Uber, every person that I either speak to, or if I'd have to take a picture of the food and send a thing, I always send a message to say, I hope you're having a great day. Happy whatever day it is. Yeah. And, something positive in there. And then if I get to see them in person, which I always really hope I get to see them in person, because then I can, I can say hello and how are you? And I hope you're having an amazing day. And you never know who God's putting in your path in those moments. And so for that, to be able to have that, and then to be able to also tell his story now is a beautiful thing, because God put you there. And then God also said, watch this, look what you were a part of, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
I'm like I said, I'm so proud of him because I've seen him on the other side, and I've never met him personally. It's always been online and talking, but we played against each other for years. Yeah. And I met him through my coach, and now even my coach is up there and playing, in the big leagues, and I'm happy for him. I know a lot of people look down on poker and stuff like that, but I do know the other side of it, the challenges, and it's not just about gambling. There is strategy and there is competition to it. And poker players are very competitive. The problem is that industry is full of darkness too. And you can easily go down the wrong side. So I've seen both sides from it. I've met a lot of religious people that played, and I've met some people that, man, I don't know where you're from, but I don't want to go there.
I bet. Yeah. There's a lot of different walks of life that you run into when dealing with, certain things. And but that's neat that you're able to be used in those ways, that God's able to use you like for those different things, even if you never meet that person. And, and that's one thing, like with what I do, I found a purpose in helping people. God put a purpose in my path to say, I want you to be a light. I want you to be a hope in somebody else's life. I want you to teach these things. I want you to show people what unconditional love really is, what grace is, what compassion is, what forgiveness is, and when it first started, like when I first really got the calling to have a purpose, I was in the worst place of my life. I was at a point where I was battling my own demons. I was battling my own things. I was at a point where I'm like, why am I here? What am I doing with myself? I just lost everything. Like my business, my home, my marriage, everything just went down the tubes. And so I'm sitting here with nothing. Why am I here? Like I'm literally breathing just to be here, and I'm dead while I'm still alive, and I would pray to God and I'd be like, why do you have me here? Why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to go through this hell that I'm living right now? What do you want from me? Right.
Mm-hmm.
and that's literally when God stood up and said, you have a purpose here. Everything that you go through, it's been put in your path for a reason. You've gone through the pain, and you've gone through the trauma, and you've gone through the anger and the hurt and the loss and the betrayal and all those things. You've gone through that because I know you're strong enough to handle it, because, you took this task on a long time ago, knowing that you're going to wake up and knowing that you were going to have this purpose in your soul and in your heart to now be there and be a light for our world and for others. And I'm just kind of like, okay, God, what does that mean? Because, I'm struggling myself. So it's like, how am I supposed to help somebody else when I'm hurting and I'm struggling, and that's where, like, at the bottom of the barrel is where I found myself, and I found that I didn't belong there. And, and that's why today I fight so hard for anyone that's down at the bottom of the barrel, or feels like they don't matter, or feels like they're worthless, or feels like they don't have a purpose here. That's my job as one of the people that God has chosen here on this earth, I guess, to lift my hand down there and be like, listen, you're not alone. Come on, let's do this together. Let me lift you out of that darkness.
And I'll to add to that, I think that's one of the problems with the veteran community. As veterans, we are trained to never admit that we're broken, whether that's your ankles hurting, your back is hurting, or whatever, because if you do, you're showing weakness, you're showing that you're not ready, you're not, able to do your mission, you're useless. And so nobody wants to admit that. And you can't start healing until you've admitted, I am broken and I need some help. And, you watch soldiers and you sit back and you say, holy shit, I think he's at rock bottom. And all of a sudden he looks at you and says, oh yeah, well, bitch, hold my beer. And he just keeps digging deeper and deeper. And it takes us so long to finally realize we can't fix ourselves. We are broken. And, for everybody finds that moment, that turning point at different places and different times and different reasons. But I think at the end of the day, that's one of the mindsets that we have to change is you can heal much faster if you recognize it's okay to ask for help and have some help earlier, Absolutely. And, those are the reasons why when you go to the VA, one of the first questions they always ask you is, do you have any legal problems? Because they know how deep that we have a tendency to dig ourselves. And, it's frustrating. And for me, I was that same guy, man. I broke out the shovel a couple times and just kept digging and digging. And, I was always one of those guys, I can fix myself. I don't need any help. And I can honestly say after I finally got help, my life did improve. So, I still have moments and I've, like you said, I'm still going through trials. There's things that I broke that I'm still trying to fix. I understand it didn't happen overnight. I didn't get into that position overnight, and I'm not going to fix it overnight. And once you accept that and you learn the phrase that I absolutely love, it is what it is, and you let things that you can't control go, it allows you to focus on what you can fix.
Right.
And a lot of people just don't understand that that's where it starts. You can't fix everything. You can apologize to those that you hurt, and at the end of the day, it's up to them to accept your forgiveness. But
Absolutely.
after you've done your part, it is what it is. You did what you can do. You can't force somebody to accept your apology, but it doesn't mean you have to continue to hurt because of what you did.
Yes.
As long as you're truly sorry about it and you can forgive yourself, at time, someday, that person's mindset will change, hopefully. But it is what it is. You can't control it.
Absolutely. And coming into that, also talking about forgiveness, so many people feel that they can't do that. They feel like they're not able to do that because of the guilt, whatever it might be, whether I wasn't there in time, I was a minute late, or I had to, watch my brothers or my sisters have their lives taken, or I had to go through this traumatic situation, or whatever it might be, right? Or maybe it's a relationship, or maybe it's, some sort of trauma, domestic violence, abuse, things like that, whatever it might be. When you hold guilt, okay, so many people say, I'm going to hold this guilt in my heart forever. I wasn't there in time, so it's my fault. And that eats away at your soul.
It does.
It eats away at your heart, and it causes you to live in your own prison cell, in yourself. And slowly, as you're living in that prison cell, it continues to knot up more and more and more, and so you're not able to free yourself, because not only are you behind bars, you've also got knots in your heart that are building up and hardening along the way. And so, one thing I've always tried to teach and talk about is that forgiveness for yourself is so important. It is so important because, like you said, you're not doing it necessarily for the other person. You feel bad, obviously, and you're ready to change, or you're ready to, if you can't change, or whatever it is, the situation, you feel it, but you do it for you. You do it because you need to get the key to unlock the jail cell and let your heart and soul out. Because if you don't, you're going to go into a spiral, and you're going to keep going down a black hole, and it's just going to get darker and darker and darker. And so that's one thing that I've always tried to push and fight, as, being on the outside looking in, being a woman that was married to a man with PTSD, being a woman that was a family readiness leader for the Guard, that, I used to talk to soldiers and their families, and, having friends that are veterans and, active duty and things like that. Like, that's been the one thing I always hear is guilt. I will never forgive myself. I will never let it go. And those are the things that are going to hold you, forever.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, when you go to somebody and you ask for forgiveness, right? The first thing that you need to think about is, can you forgive yourself? Because if you can't even forgive yourself, you are wasting your time asking and expecting somebody else to forgive you.
Yeah.
If you can't even do it yourself, why are you expecting somebody else to do it?
Yes.
And, along with that is accepting responsibility. All right. And I can give you some examples. There was a lot of times where things would go wrong, so I used to own my own business, and I opened up a trucking company because, well, I shouldn't have opened up a trucking company. I did because I was frustrated because I didn't know how to interact with people. I was walking out of the military. I was thinking about suicide. I was planning suicide. Let me rephrase it. I couldn't find work. I was a mechanic in a town that mechanicking just dried up. All the dealerships closed up except for one, and all the mom and pops couldn't afford to hire nobody. So I was to that point. I was lining things up, insurance, calculating how much money my wife's going to need, and all that stuff. And I put myself in a business, not being in the right state of mind. And I went through that trend. I was in a truck driving 650 miles a day out on the road by myself, 6 weeks at a time. And when things didn't go right, it was because, oh, I got PTSD. No, that's not the case, and it takes time to realize, sometimes what's going wrong with me isn't because I got PTSD. It's because I'm being an asshole. And I just need to accept that responsibility and fix what it is I need to fix. And stop playing that victim card, Yeah. And once you can start taking accountability for what happened, regardless of what happened. Like I said, there's things I'm doing right now to fix what I did when I wasn't thinking correctly. And it doesn't matter why I wasn't thinking correctly. It doesn't matter why whether it was PTSD, if it was being an asshole victim, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I am now to that point where I can accept what I did. I accept the responsibility. It wasn't nobody else's fault. It was my fault. Mm-hmm. And I'm fixing those things. And you can't do that until you've forgiven yourself and you have accepted it is what it is. That's why I love that phrase. I can't change what I did. And, so that's why I'm now trying to fix it on the second half of my life. And I think there's another part to this. I don't know, with you being a female, maybe you can relate, but sometimes it takes us men a little bit of time to mature. And sometimes we don't always think with the right head and the right ideas, and we're very spontaneous, and sometimes testosterone takes over and our pride takes over, and we're just full of emotion,
Well, logical. You guys are very logical thinking, the way you're kind of like this, and this,
Yep.
And sometimes having that feminine perspective come in to say, what if you broadened it a little bit? And what if you looked at it, this way a little bit? And like you were saying about changing and healing, talking about how you've made a conscious decision yourself to change things that have gone on in your life, and that's another thing to talk about is change.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they go, okay, I finally got to a point. I want to get clean. I want to get sober. I want to change my mindset. I want to start thinking of a different way to handle things. I want to face my trauma head on. I want to work through this and become the me that I'm supposed to be. Right. A lot of people, again, when it comes to change, they have trouble looking back going, okay, I'm changing. Let's say, I've decided to do all these things and be a new me, and in my mind, I'm a new me. In my heart, I'm a new me. But there's these underlying things that, okay, maybe I wasn't there for my husband or my wife like I should have been. And maybe I didn't spend the time with my kids like I should have. And or maybe I didn't treat my job the way I should have, or, my business the way I should have. And those things, a lot of times people, when they're trying to change and they're ready to make the conscious decision to do so, they keep getting that negativity bias that gets in their head and say, but remember this. Remember, you weren't there. Remember, you didn't do that. Remember this. And then you start thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm not capable of change. Maybe I'm not capable of making a different decision or becoming a better person. And it also has to do with your environment and who's around you.
Yep.
If you have a negative environment of people around you, that is what you're going to live and breathe. So if you have people around you that are saying, oh, you may have changed, but did you really? Or, yeah, you may have done this, but, really, you were never here for this, and this, and this. And even though this person is, trying to change their ways, you have somebody else over here that's still pushing you down, and so it's so important when you're in the place to be ready to heal, to change, to accept the things that have happened in your life, to face it head on, to go through basically the dark night of the soul and accept the things that you've done and own it, having the right people in your life is so important. And that's one thing that I love about just even doing this podcast, and, you know, even what you do with all the incredible veterans and the musicians and the podcasts that you do, and, you know, the videos that I do, and just speaking to people and saying, hey, I see you. Hey, you know, if you don't have somebody positive in your life right now, whether it's your family, your work, your neighbor, whoever it might be, you at least have people here that love you and encourage you. And we want to help put that light in your life. We want to be that shoulder that you can lean on if you don't have anybody else to lean on. Yeah. And so I think it's incredible that, you know, just bringing that part up of changing is change comes with encouragement. It comes with lifting up somebody else and letting somebody else know you see them and that, you know, you're proud of them. You're proud of them. They may not have been perfect all along. None of us have been. You know, I definitely wasn't. You know, I've gone through a lot of life. And yep. I've made some poor decisions I'm not proud of. Yep. But, you know, the people that I have in my corner now, my soul family, they're proud of me. They're proud of how far I've come. They're proud of, like, you know, the things that I've done to change and better myself. And so it's so important to have a group of people around you that are going to lift you up and make you feel that. So if you don't have that out there, we have that here for you, and we love you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I do want to add one thing to what I was saying before. Not always, there is things that PTSD causes, and not all things are, you know, just as simple as saying, okay, well, that's not PTSD. I'm just an asshole. That was me just kind of using a general, you know, census from what you see on the internet all the time, and the stimulation that, or the perception that people seem to have, right? But there is things, and if you sit back and you think about them, and I can give an example for myself. I would come home after being gone for 6 weeks by myself, and my wife would be at work. The kids are grown. They're at work. They're gone. It's just me by the house. So I decided to be lazy and take a nap, right? But I wouldn't be able to sleep because I would lay there and feel guilty that, like, I'm doing something wrong. I shouldn't be enjoying life. I shouldn't be relaxing and getting comfortable, you know, because I wasn't comfortable inside. And that's where PTSD does come in. There is symptoms that will heighten other things, and you've got to figure out what it is in your life that it is heightening and bringing these emotions together, you know. So when I say it's you know, not always PTSD, what I'm really saying is it could be PTSD, but what is it in your life that it is bringing out of you? And and it's not going to bring the positive stuff. It's going to make you feel guilty, like you said. It's going to make you feel like you can't fix yourself. It's going to put you in a spot where you want to isolate in the pain, commit suicide, lash out to people. I did that for a long time. I blamed everybody else, you know, there for the longest after, you know, I got past wanting to kill myself. Well, then it wasn't, well, why am I going to kill myself? I'm not messed up. You guys are messed up, you know? And I just, you know, it just took me so long to fix some of these things because I didn't know what was going on. And once you learn that, and you can get your mind right enough to where you can think through, and that's why it really bothers me. I started doing it again. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm just not a fan of the small 3-second videos and stuff like that, because I feel like it makes people do this, and you get into that box. And I have 3 to 5 seconds to decide I either like it or I don't, and I move on, or I watch it again, you know. Yeah. But it brings out that thought process too when you're making your decisions. You know, I have to decide something crucial, but I better decide it in 3 to 5 seconds. You know.
Yeah.
And it's okay to think through things, and it's okay to talk to people and ask questions and take your time. And that's, you know, Barbara Sims, man, she's got the best song out there, Taking the Long Way Home. If you've never heard her story of where that song came from, it is amazing. I mean, she wrote that song because the person that was helping her heal literally said to her one day, "You should be better by now. What is taking so long?" And she said, "Well, I guess I'm taking the long way." And that's just it. It's not a race. It's
Yeah.
about checking the blocks, making it through the steps so that you can move forward and not have to come back and revisit. And
Right.
if you haven't heard that song, man, it's so powerful. You need to, because it is so true. And when she told me about it on the show, man, I just thought about it. I said, man, maybe I did that same thing. Maybe I took the long way to getting help and wasted many years of my life, you know, listening to the negativity. I mean, that's one of the reasons, like you said, that's what took so long, was all the negativeness around me. I followed the news. I listened to the politics. I argued with people. Oh, what a mess, man.
But
You know,
maybe you had to go through those things to become who you are today, to be able to
yeah,
look back and realize that's not the person that I want to be.
yep.
Those things are not the things that I want to do. And, you look back and you grow through those and you become stronger through those things,
Yep.
even though they're ugly, even though they're not, pleasant. And that's one thing I've always felt, that like, I've wondered often why I've gone through a lot of the life that I've gone through. And some of it I'm just like, why?
Yep.
But I look back now and I realize the why,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like, our topic for the night, discussing what does the term fighting your demons mean?
I spent all week thinking about that.
And it's fighting your demons is fighting the monsters inside your heart and your soul, the monsters that get into your head and tell you these things over and over and over again, and puts you into a spiral. And, I did a podcast a long time ago talking about our negativity bias. Like, we are programmed to think of the negative before the positive. Like, that's just, it's something, it's been programmed into us. It's something that we've done for years and years and years. And as we get older, it manifests and it grows if we let it. And so we automatically go right to the negative, right to the demons, right? Yeah. And how do you start to get rid of those demons? And that's kind of like what you were saying, is straight up taking responsibility and saying no more.
Yeah.
And being able to stand up and say, I'm not okay. Yep. And that, to know that it's okay not to be okay. And It's okay to reach out. And, one of the main reasons, well, honestly, the biggest main reason that I started doing this in the first place, speaking and trying to help and be a voice, all those things, was because when I was married, my husband was a veteran and he had deployed 3 times. And we had the happiest relationship. We never argued. We never fought. He'd always make me laugh. He was always funny. It was always just perfect. It was too perfect. It was fairy tale, and then things happened and life crashed before my eyes. And I found afterwards, we went back and we talked, and honestly, I forgave, because that's what we're meant to do as people. We're meant to forgive the pain. And I did it for me. And, I sat down with him and I said, why, what is going on with you that we would do something like this and crash everything? And he said, it's because I've been miserable for 14 years since I deployed to Afghanistan. I've not been happy. I've worn a mask. I have been miserable. And I was the first person in 14 years that he came out and he told me the truth. And he told me that he wore a mask. And the reason that it's been my biggest passion to do this is because I didn't see it. I didn't see it the entire time we were together. We were together for 6 years. I did not see the pain. and I'm an empath, and I read people, and you know, I'm able to see through things, and I'm able to tell someone exactly who they are, all this stuff. And I didn't see it. I didn't see it because he hid it so well. And now I know. I just know I could peel back a mask on pretty much anyone and be like, yep, because God's given me that gift.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't see that he was in pain. And after the fact, you know, we were able to work it out, and not work it out, but like help him get into some therapy and really start working on himself and healing from the inside out. You know, but that became my lifelong mission, to take the mask off of people, help people see that it's okay not to be okay, help people to see, even as a woman coming to you, you know, that's why I'm such a huge men's mental health advocate, is because I know how you guys bottle it up and hold it inside. And I know women do too. But let's face it, men are a huge, huge stigma that it's not okay to be weak. It's not okay to let your feelings out. It's not okay to melt down. It's not okay to hurt. It's not, you know, all of those things. And so it really became my lifelong passion to be somebody to help peel away the mask before it's too late, to be able to say, listen, you're loved and you're not alone. And from the outside looking in. And I've actually written a song called The Outside Looking In. I haven't done anything with it yet, but yeah.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
The, you know, so like I said, I spent the whole week thinking about that. You know, if you do some research on the internet, you know, I tried that too, and you really don't find where that came from, you know, and I'm like, man, that's weird that there's not somebody that's talked about where that term has came from. And I started thinking about it, and it's just like what I was saying, you know, when you're in that dark spot, man, it uses everything about your emotions against you. And and it's the demon that you can't see. I can't sleep. I can't relax, because if I relax, I feel guilty because I shouldn't be relaxed, because maybe it's because I've seen people die that can't relax now, or I've seen families hurt because of the loss. I've hurt my family because of my pain. Whatever the reason, you have that feeling, you know, and there's times you would wake up and just be like, my wife. So me and my wife had been together since 7th grade. She's seen me from a kid, pre-military. I came in 94, so pre-deployments. And then she's seen the me after deployments. And, you know, like I tell people, man, there was, you know, when the deployments first kicked off, 2002, 2003, that time frame, you know, my wife didn't sleep in the same bed with me for years. Just because she couldn't sleep, because I would be screaming things. You know, I guess I elbowed her one time and gave her a knot on her forehead, and just all sorts of things. And, you know, I kind of credit that to the divide. It was like the demon now has put a divide between me and my wife, because now we're not even in the same bed no more. And the closeness kind of separated. And then my attitude changed, and I pushed them away even further, you know, all the way up until the point when I retired and decided that I shouldn't even be here no more, because, you know, I've just destroyed my family. I've destroyed everything I've worked for. And the best thing I could do for my family is just to end their pain by me not being here. And that was, as I'm retiring and walking away from the military, that's the thought. And to me, that term, fighting your demons, is just that. It's all the internal darkness that is using your emotions, because you haven't rationalized why you're feeling this way. You haven't accepted responsibility for the things that you did while you were in this position. And there's still something behind it, pushing it, you know, just like you said, you know, I can't do that. I can't be right. I can't fix this. I can't, you know, I asked for forgiveness, but they don't want to forgive me. Well, if you haven't forgave yourself, if you haven't accepted responsibility for yourself, if you haven't really put in the work to heal, then you're still fighting the demons.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's where the light warriors are coming in. You know, there's so many of us that are standing up and saying enough. You know, we are tired of seeing people hurting. We are tired of seeing people take their lives. You know, I've been the phone call in the middle of the night.
Yep.
I have been to one too many funerals, as one is too many.
Yep.
You know, when one of the soldiers, he was 21 years old. He felt like he had nothing left to live for. And he wrote a post on Facebook, and I was calling and calling and calling and calling him and trying to reach out to him and trying to get to him. And the commander was trying to get to him. We were all trying to get to him, and it was too late, you know, and that to me, one is too many, you know, and I feel like so many of us are being called that have gone through pain. Like you've gone through shit. You've gone through hell. You've gone through the bottom. You've been at the bottom. You've been in the hole. You've pulled yourself out of that hole, you know, and I'm sure that somehow you probably had people around you somewhere that encouraged you, that where you're someone in that moment when you're ready to lose yourself, you know, and honestly, God is a huge part of it. And that's one thing that I have never always really spoke about, because I have not wanted to get religious and I have not wanted to take things to that level. But it's absolutely 1,000% true that God is calling warriors and light workers to stand up now and to be there for people that are hurting and people that are lost and people that feel alone and feel like they don't have a purpose and they don't matter, and that are battling their demons, because we are a light that is able to be shown in the dark. We are able to bring that dark to light and be able to save someone's life and be able to help someone find themselves. And, you know, just like you and everything you're doing, you've taken a lot of time to get to where you're at today. And you're still working on it, just like I am. You know, I've taken a hell of a lot of time to get to where I'm at today, and I'm still working on it. But you better believe till my last breath, I'm going to shine every light that I can, that God puts in my path, into somebody's heart and soul, and help them to see that they can get through this. And those demons that you manifest inside yourself, it's energy. It's negative energy. It's evil energy. And people say, you know, okay, don't go into the religious side of things. I'm not going into, you know, in the Bible, and I'm not going to church and things like that. But God is real. God is around us. God is in who we are, and the air that we breathe, and in our lungs. And we are, you know, parts of that. And we choose what energy frequency we're going to put out in the world. Are we going to put out negative, angry, you know, evil energy? Or are we going to put out love and light and hope and teachings and forgiveness, and teaching people that are hurting how not to hurt and how to heal and be able to start over, you know? And it's taken me a long time to get there. 3 years ago, when my life changed, I had no idea what I was in for.
Yeah.
And the last 90 days, let me tell you what, I don't even know. Like, God has just been like, okay, it's time for you to like really stand up and really start to, you know, heal people. And I'm showing you how to do it. And I'm just like, okay, you know, and it's crazy, but it's an incredible gift to be able to shine a light in somebody else. And you do that so well. You shine lights in people every day, just with your words, just with your podcasts, with who you talk to. I mean, you have such an encouragement about you, and that's an incredible thing. And it just, you know, wanting to do a podcast with me and being able to start something incredible, we're going to shine the light in the dark, and we're going to keep bringing more and more people to the light.
So I'm going to tell you a funny story. When you invited me to do this, right? I still remember after I agreed to do it. So I'm going to fast forward afterwards, but something happened last Saturday that ties in with everything we're talking about. But you asked me this, about 3 weeks ago, we started planning this.
Yeah.
And when you first asked me, a little bit of myself questioned myself again. As soon as we stopped talking about it, I looked at myself. I said, man, does she even know me? I'm not a positive person, and that was just me, again, questioning, I haven't looked at what I'm putting on other people because I'm still trying to fix myself,
Yeah.
and like I tell everybody, my podcast is for me. This is me talking to people, learning stories and relearning how to interact with people. And then comes Saturday, this last Saturday, I was supposed to go and I went to an event. I was supposed to live stream it. It was for a 9-year-old girl that had cancer. And that's kind of personal to me because my daughter just got over cancer. She just got done having surgery not too long ago. And when I found there was a family that had a 9-year-old have cancer, a really rare cancer, and they found it from a routine dental. They took her to the dentist and they found a bump on the top of her mouth, on the inside of her roof of her mouth, and it turned out to be a really rare form of cancer. And the family had to move; they had to quit their jobs and move to Texas for 8 months while she goes to treatment because that's the only place that could treat her. So what I went to had the Tim Newton band playing, and I was supposed to live stream it and everything. And I got a phone call. So the night before that, Operation Encore, as most of you guys have seen on my episode, they announced that they were going to sponsor my podcast, which is amazing to me because I really do look up to it's one of the best organizations out there. And then the next day, I'm driving down the road to head to this. I get a phone call from MBR Radio, and they want me to start doing the Wednesday show for them, and after I got off the phone with them, I called my mom. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, do you believe that God just kind of, puts you in a path and until he's ready for you to know why you're headed down this road and why you've gone through all these problems? Because it made me go back through my whole life. I wasn't that kid that grew up that played soldiers. I was the football kid. I was the baseball kid. I loved sports. I didn't care about the Army. That wasn't my thing, and then I grew up in a poor family and college wasn't an option because I didn't have the grades. So my sports didn't get me scholarships. So I ended up going in the military, and then I ended up deploying and seeing how negative people really can be and to learn that the devil is human, because there's a lot of bad people out there. And then it puts me in that category. And next thing I know, I'm driving down the road thinking, man, God has finally put me, and he's finally told me what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm doing it. I'm where I am supposed to be. And I believe that with all my heart for the first time in a long time. And now I'm to the point where I realize that the podcast is what's helped me heal. But just like you said, my purpose is to be here to help others now. And that's why, it's just weird how all of this in a 3-week span from you asking me to do this to the things that's happened with the podcast and Gunroom Radio and how everything's starting to grow. And now it's even made me decide, it's time to now let's push to make it a 501c. Let's help more people, Yeah. And so, man, I'm looking forward to doing this show. I'll be here every Tuesday because I believe it's important.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's incredible because, when I talked to you about doing the show, I was going to start doing it again by myself because I had a podcast for a long time called Motivational Mondays that before I moved from Nashville, I would do every Monday. And, when I moved, life got in the way and things, and the timing wasn't right for me to restart it again.
Right.
And I've always loved interacting with people. like I used to have people on the show and I talked to them. A lot of them would be either veteran musicians or, someone along that line that has an inspiring story, or, they have a testimony, or they just want to help people as well. And it would not only be healing for them, it would also be rewarding and healing for me as well, knowing that, I'm able to get somebody else's story out there and what have you. So I thought that was really neat. And when I had my interview with Every Day's a Saturday, it just, I don't know what happened. Like, it just, like a spark went off. And next thing I know, I was like, this idea just popped in my head. Like, hey, you need to just go all out and just see what he says, and you never know until you try. Yeah. And so I did it not knowing, really where it was going to go or what you were going to say. And it was like, boom. And here we are. And I think that's incredible. And, I want you to know that you have just an incredible purpose. You really do. And you make a difference. And just by, the little bit of time that I've gotten a chance to get to know you and talk to you and hear your story, you are just as much of a motivational speaker and a light worker as I am, and as many as Brian is, and as many other people are. And you are somebody that God has called during this time to say, shine your light. Shine your light into the souls of the broken. Shine your light into the dark. And together we are going to shine a light so bright that we are going to touch lives. We are going to change lives. We're going to make a difference in others' lives. And, sometimes it takes time to fully believe it, and you're still at that stage where you're like, I'm pretty sure that, this is what I'm supposed to do, but am I good enough? And you're incredible, and you are absolutely good enough, because God never gives us anything we can't handle, first of all, even though we think we can. And second of all, you have a testimony as strong as anybody else, and it matters, and it changes lives, and it saves lives. And the things that you've gone through, thick and thin, somebody else relates to, and somebody else needs to hear your story and your motivation.
Well, I appreciate that, because, even with that radio station, man, I ask myself, I said, what are you doing? Because I know nothing about music. I'm not even musical talent. I got kicked out of band. I mean, who gets kicked out of band?
Hey, I did too. I played the flute when I was younger, and I hated it. So
I got caught making out in the soundproof booth. So that was early 7th grade before my wife. So
oh goodness, yeah.
And I attempted to play the clarinet. That was the instrument that I played, and
I did the flute and I hated it. I couldn't. My lips were always buzzing. I could never figure out how to get it to sound good, and I ended up just putting it down and saying screw it. And I got to singing, and that was my thing when I was 14. I sang until boys and other things came along, which were more interesting to me around 13 or 14. So I put that down too for many, many years. But
I hated band. My mom made me play till 9th grade because that was the agreement. But come 9th grade, it was over. Literally, it was so bad. The teacher would ask me, he's like, "Do you want to try out, or you just want last chair?" I said, "I'm good right here."
Right.
I don't even need to try out.
I know. My mom used to make me go to flute lessons, and once a week, and I hated it. We played the dumbest songs, just out of the old school organ book, and it's like this is lame. This is not me at all. I
remember him making us play the theme song to The Simpsons, and I was like, "Oh, that'll be fun." Let me tell you, that's the hardest solo on a clarinet.
You know why they made you do that back in the day, right?
Why?
Because they knew that it was going to predict the future for now.
well, I'm going to tell you what future it taught me. Band Lord. And all Army band and stuff like that was not in my future. So.
Hey, that's all right. You have God had other plans for you. That's all right. Yep. And you know what? To do what you're doing now with our veteran musicians. And, music is magical. Music is spiritual. It's healing. I mean, just like you're talking about Barbara Sim, and you're talking about her new song, The Long Way. Is that what it's called? The Long Way?
It's called Long Way Home.
The Long Way Home. So, she's using her heart and her soul and her story and her mission to sing and speak and tell others about what's going on, and using that testimony to help others, and that's just a beautiful thing, because it's true. It has been so hard. So me as a musician myself, and I'm a singer, writer, I don't play any instruments. So
me neither.
I mean, I can string a couple chords on the guitar, but we don't want to put me on stage with it. But, like, the music industry is so tough to break into, because you either have to be, there's the 3 F's in the music industry. Okay. You're either feeding them, you're financing them, or you're effing. Okay. And those are the 3 things that you have to do in order to be successful in the music industry, or sell your soul, so that's another one we're finding out about. That's great. So we don't want to do that. We're trying to get our soul back at this point in time. So a lot of our veterans, a lot of people that are starting to play and starting to branch out there with their music, you're giving them a platform to be able to be heard by thousands of people, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow. And these people are incredibly talented. They are so gifted, and they deserve to be heard. They deserve to be out there. They deserve to have their shot, just like everybody else. Just because finances and, whatever else it might be in the music industry, getting into all dotting the T's and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, everybody deserves a chance that's talented, and especially our veterans, especially our first responders and people like that already deal with trauma, already have gone through a lot of stuff. And this is their outlet to heal and to find themselves again, and to speak to others, and through their music is a beautiful thing. And that's exactly why this is your purpose, to do that, because not only are you providing a platform, but you're also a motivational speaker on top of it, and you make a difference.
We're going to add a 4th F to that. We're not going to do any of those other 3, but we are going to friend them. And by the time it's all said and done, they're going to find a new group that's coming in this, and a new path. And we're going to change some things. I do believe that with all my heart, that by the time this is done, it's hard telling where you're going to see. This radio station may be a channel on Sirius XM, because it has changed so many people. It's hard telling where it'll go, but I do know it's going to make a difference.
Absolutely. One person at a time.
Yep.
It takes one person to light a match, to fuel a fire that's going to change the world. And what is fire? Fire is light. Yep. And that's exactly what we are. One step at a time, we are going to change the world, whether it's with our music, whether it's with our words, whether it's with a passion or a mission that's put in our hearts. That is a beautiful thing. And I'm humbled to be a part of it, to be honest with you. It's really cool.
Me too. And I look forward to doing this every Tuesday. I think just, and Tuesday's a good day to do it on too, because Mondays tend to be crappy anyways. So it's always good to get regenerized before you get to Wednesday and Thursday. So Tuesdays is a good day to have a motivational day.
I think so too.
I absolutely agree.
And I don't know why my microphone is so ginormous. I'm looking at the picture, and like yours is, I'm huge, and my microphone's ginormous, and like you're back there. I think it's just the way I'm sitting. So
it could be, or how close it is to the webcam, maybe.
Microphone. As long as y'all can hear me, I guess that's what matters.
Well, Chinese people are small, so maybe that's what it is. You're still in this whole Chinese area, So
I am. I'm seeing crisscross applesauce on the floor.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Sugar, I love this, man. We need to make sure that this goes on for years to come.
Amen. I agree. Oh. I would love to do it. Tuesdays is best for me too, because I have the Vintage Vixens thing that I'm doing now that I start on next Wednesday. And that's going to be really cool too. So
when's your guys' first performance?
August 23rd, I want to say. I might be wrong on that.
Is somebody going to live stream it?
I think I'm going to try to. So that way we can kind of get it on there. And it's really cool because the Vintage Vixens goes all over South Carolina and North Carolina. And we do things for our veterans, which is really, really cool. I'm so excited to be a part of it. And I'm going to be part of the trio. So I get to be like in the spotlight, I guess is what they told me. And I'll get to do some solo songs. I'll get to do some trio songs. But a lot of the stuff we do is like kind of World War II pinup girl, vintage style. And so
That's
the
awesome.
music is also kind of like that. So we do a lot of VFWs and a lot of events and some car shows, I think, that are coming up. And this Saturday, I'm not actually a part of it just because I haven't officially gone to my first thing yet, but I'm going to it. There is a veteran that's turning 100 years old. And so we're having a birthday party for him and doing like a whole, spiel of World War II songs and all that stuff. But to be 100 years old, and still be here on this earth and be a veteran, that's incredible. So I'm going to
imagine the stories that he could tell you. How many wars, whether he was in them or not, that's not what I'm getting at, but in his lifetime, how many wars he has seen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that is just, I bet you the stories that he could tell you is just amazing.
I bet, and I can't wait to just meet him and give him a big old hug and tell him thank you. Hopefully I'll have some time to talk with him. I don't know, his full state of mind and everything. So
yeah,
we shall see. But being 100, he must be rocking it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's pretty darn cool. And so,
well,
and then
he's got the BBs. That's what's keeping him alive. The BBs.
That's right.
Bourbon and bacon.
That's right. And then he's gonna have his vintage women.
Oh, yep, that's it.
He ain't gonna know what to do with himself. But you know what? It'll be a great birthday party for him, and I'm excited for that. So
absolutely. Well,
and
anytime you guys live stream something, let me know, man, and I will. Okay. I will put it out there. I'll restream it, and we'll get the world to watch it.
Heck yeah, that would be awesome. And I was talking to the ladies too about bringing it to TikTok because they don't do a lot with TikTok right now. And I was like, I'll do that. I'll start bringing it there and do some social media over there and stuff because that would be kind of cool. But I've also started doing Veterans Last Patrol. And so that, oh my goodness, I went to my first one about 3 weeks ago, and I got to be a part of going in and to a hospice. It was in his home, but he was on hospice, and Veterans Last Patrol came in and did an honor ceremony for him and his family. And I got to sing for him. And it was just such a heartwarming experience. And to be able to be a part of that, to be able to tell him thank you and give him a hug. And I put it on TikTok because they said it would be okay if I, showed people what we do for people, And oh my goodness, it like blew up, and the family reached out to me and they were like, thank you so much. He was so blown away by how many people said, that they loved him and appreciated him. And that's what it's about. We need to love and appreciate our veterans for everything that they've done for us. I love and appreciate you for everything that you have done. And for anyone else out there that's a veteran, or you're active duty, or, you're just getting ready to go in, I love and appreciate you. We love and appreciate you. And you're not told that enough. And I'm sorry. So I do my best to try to go out of my way to remind people that they're loved and that they matter, and that for their sacrifices and the things you've done, it matters.
We need to reach out and on one of our Tuesdays have them on our show, because I'd really like to learn a little bit more about that. I've never heard of that organization before.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I would love to be able to see if I could get that. I'm sure I could. I could just talk to a couple people and get the commander on board to come and do that, because it is such a beautiful thing. And, it's very emotional because it is, it's those last moments. Yeah. But what a beautiful thing. And they present him a flag, and they present him dog tags, and they present him a plaque. And it was just, I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
most of the ceremony, but it was incredible to be there and be a part of it.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, we definitely if we can get them on, man, I would love to, because
Heck yeah.
I've never heard of any organization that does something like that. That is
Yes,
awesome.
yes. I would love to. I'll reach out to them and see what I can do.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate the invite, and just so everybody knows, man, this is going to be an every Tuesday thing. So 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern, 5 on the other side of that world.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody can join in. And man, if y'all got any comments, put them in the post, man. I love reading them.
Yes,
So.
yes. Me too. And thank you. And I may be on the floor next week. We shall see. But it's kind of
now they're going to have to
here.
watch to find out.
That's right. And see how big my microphone's going to be next week.
We'll change the title.
To adjust some things.
We'll change the title to "Where is Sugar?"
Every episode, I'm going to sit somewhere different. I'll just find some random spots.
That's awesome. All right. Well, until next Tuesday, man, we appreciate all of y'all. Stay positive, enjoy life, and if you ever need to talk, reach out. I have no issue, man. I'll post my email somewhere sometime. I forgot about that, but it's ddunn@twodrunkdudesinAgunroom.beer. If you ever want to talk, you can message us through any of my Facebook page. I'm sure Sugar Rose is the same way. You can message her and reach out, and man, we'll be glad to talk with you. If you got any ideas or whatever, just reach out.
Absolutely. Yes. And we love you, and you're amazing, and you're never alone, no matter what.
Where is Sugar?
I know, I saw that.
All right. Well, until next Tuesday.
Brother, we're out now. Oh, Sugar, we're out.
Well, until next Tuesday, y'all take care. Be safe.